Okay, good afternoon to all. Today's concept is your Hadoop cluster. Okay, in a simple meaning, a cluster is your collection of computer or a collection of nodes or a nodes that are connected with each other in a network is known as cluster. Okay, and what does a Hadoop cluster mean? In your Hadoop cluster is your collection of nodes or a computer. But what the Hadoop cluster is? In your Hadoop cluster, this is also collection of computer. This is your main computer, and further these are your sub computer. Okay, these are your sub computer. And your main computer is called as a master node, and your sub nodes or your sub computers that are connected with the master node are called a slave node or a client. Okay, if I am the user, I will interact with the master node. Okay, master node of Hadoop. If there is any query from my side, okay, master node will distribute that query to this sub node or this slave node to perform that task and submit the result to the master node, and master node will be show me the result of that query. Okay. In this manner, your Hadoop cluster will work. Okay. In the same way, Google having a millions of query in a second. Okay. So this is the Google, that is the master node. If there are number of queries and the queries that are related to each other, okay, there are 100 queries that are related, they will distribute to different sub nodes to perform that task. Okay, and distributed to all their slave nodes. Okay, who will distribute that? Master node will be distributed. Okay, then slave node perform that task. Okay, how they track the task. Okay, they will track each and every node will track that task and execute, process that task, and submit the result to the master. Okay, and then after that, master node analyze that data. Okay, if there is an optimal solution, is this there? They will provide that resultant to the user. Okay, in this manner, your Hadoop cluster will. And in our yesterday practical, we are performing a Hadoop cluster. Hadoop cluster as a single node cluster. Okay, and in that we are making a HDFS. We are installing our HDFS, that is Hadoop distributed file system. Okay, then we will install a yarn. Okay, HDFS is used for storing your data. Okay, this is used to storing your data, and yarn have the responsibility to schedule your task. Okay, yarn framework have a functionality to schedule your task and task between these slave nodes. Okay, and all these yarn and HDFS is installed at a master. Okay, at this there is a HDFS. That is Hadoop distributed file system is installed on your master system. Okay, and your yarn is installed on your master system. And the same way, these all frameworks are also installed at the sub node. Okay, these are all these frameworks as well installed on your slave. They will provide the task. Okay, they will process the task and provide the result to the master. This manner, your Hadoop will perform the task. Okay, all queries received by master node, then he will distribute the different queries to the slave nodes or the client. Okay. A simple cluster is a collection of nodes, and in your Hadoop there is a master node, and further there is a slave. Then architecture of Hadoop. There is a master node. There is a worker node. There is a client. Okay. Master node will distribute the work to the worker node. Then worker node distribute that to work to their client. And in the same manner, client will provide the resultant result to the worker node, and worker node analyze that data and provide that resultant proper optimal result to the master. Okay, this is job distributor. Who is the job distributor? Master node to their worker node, and worker further distribute that task to their client. Okay, your Hadoop works as a distributed method. Okay, the word we use here is distributed file system. File system. Who will do that? That is Hadoop. That is why it is called HDFS. Hadoop distributed file system. All the file will be distributed by the master node to the worker node, then worker node to their further client. And further, their task will be collected, their resultant will be collected, forward to worker node, and forward worker node analyze their data, and optimal solution is forward to the master. In this manner, your Hadoop will be perform their task. Okay. Then advantages. Advantages of Hadoop cluster is first one is boost the processing speed. Okay. Advantage of your Hadoop cluster is it boosts the processing speed. How it is done? Because your task, your huge task is divided into sub-tasks to the slave node. If they are divided, they will process easily and in a faster manner. That is why it is called the advantage of Hadoop cluster. It boosts the processing speed. This is the first advantage. Then easily scalable. Okay. If there is a huge number of data, it can be divided into sub-tasks or to a sub-node. Okay. That is why it is easily scalable. After a decade, if there is an increase in data, that data is also decomposed into sub-tasks, and your maximum data, that is a scalable data, large volume of data can be scalable. Okay, that is also an advantage of your Hadoop cluster. Then it can be performed at low cost and high availability of commodity hardware. Okay. What's the processing speed? Easily scalable. Okay, we can make a more nodes or a sub node or a slave nodes of a master node. Okay, we can add more slave nodes with our master node. That is, it is scalable. Okay, if the volume of data is increasing day by day, we can also scalable our hardware up. Okay, and this is also low cost. Having a low cost according to your availability of commodity hardware, because we have number of slave nodes. Okay, we have number of slave nodes. We can distribute the number of tasks between that slave nodes. Okay, that reduce our cost. Next is replicate. Replicate the data. Okay, data security is there. If we are distributing the data between different nodes, or master node is replicating, if there is a data replicated between these two, if this node is in any fault or any failure is there in this node, the data is replicated to this node also. We can take backup from a second node. Okay, if there is another node, if these two nodes are in failure stage, we can replicate, or we can take a backup from third node. That is the fourth point, is replicate the data. Okay, in your Hadoop concept, there is a replication of data also, so that if any node get failed, we can take backup from a next node. Then last is possible to integrate. If possible to integrate the data from multiple sources. We can also take data from multiple sources. We can collect the data from Google, from Facebook, okay, from Twitter. That is the possible to integrate the data from a multiple sources. We can collect. If we are working on a Hadoop, we can collect. That is a predictive manner. Okay. It is a predictive data collection. Okay. We can perform a predictive data collection, and then we can integrate that data. Okay. There is a possibility to integrate the data from the multiple sources, and these are the advantage of your Hadoop cluster. First, with the processing, your processing speed get increased because we are dividing the huge volume of data between the slave nodes. Okay, easily scalable. We can increase our slave nodes also. Okay, low cost according to availability of commodity hardware. Replicate the data. Okay, possible to integrate the data from different sources. These all are the advantage of your Hadoop. Okay. That's all about your Hadoop cluster is. And now we will talk about our next concept, that is NoSQL. Okay. It's mean that not only SQL. The previous year in 2002 or 3, we are working on a SQL. Okay, that is structured query language. Okay, in 2000, 2003 or 2002, we are working on an SQL. Okay, and this is also used to store the data in table or a tabular manner. Okay, in a table form. We will store that data in our table and create that label and fill that field. Okay, and all done by your structured query language. and it is the concept of your RDBMS. Okay, RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. Relation is called your table form. Okay, and database management system is your software to store your data. Okay, this is the management system to store your data in which form? In table form. Okay, that is your SQL case. But in your Hadoop, there is a concept of NoSQL. Means not only SQL, there is a concept of SQL, different concept of SQL, but in your SQL, we are storing the data in the form of table. Okay, but in your NoSQL, there is a no concept of table, there is a no concept of column. Okay, we will store our data into different database forms. And this is also called as non-tabular. Non-tabular as well as NoREL. Okay. Not only SQL, in your NoSQL, it is also called non-tabular because in your SQL there are tabular. Okay, we will store our data in the form of table. Okay, that is why NoSQL is also called as non-tabular because there is a no concept of a table. Okay, and it is also called as NoREL. NoREL means no relationship. But in your SQL, there is a RDBMS concept. R for relationship or relational. Okay, but no REL is your NoSQL. Okay, we will not store any data in the form of table. There are different type of database model in your NoSQL. Okay, types of database model in NoSQL. Okay, and what are they? First one is key value model. Second is column family model. Third is document model. Fourth is graph model. Okay, these are the different type of models that are used in your NoSQL concept. We will store our data in the form of key value model. Okay, key value concept will be used there. No table will be generated, no field will be entered. Okay, only a key and value model concept will be used. What is the I will explain while show you a presentation. Okay, these are the types. Key value model, column family model is there. Okay, then after column there is a document model. Means we are store our data in the form of documents. Okay, then there are graph model. We will store our data in the form of graph. Okay, there is a connectivity between a nodes. Okay, these nodes connectivity make a graph. Okay, this is your node. This is your node. These are the nodes, and these are the edges. Okay, in this we will study the node concept and edges. Each and every node is connected by an edge. Okay, that is the concept of your graph. We will make a graph. Okay, in that form we will store that data. And there is a document formation. We will store the data in the form of document. In the form of column is there also, but that is in the form of family. Okay, the key value model will be there. Okay, no tabular form is used in your NoSQL. Okay, first question is why we use NoSQL? Why we use the concept of NoSQL? First of all, your relational database were not built for distributed application. Okay. Why we use NoSQL? Because in your relational database, we will not, we will not, we will not build our distributed application. Means in your RDBMS concept, there is no distributed application concept is okay, in your RDBMS. To resolve that problem, we have came with the Hadoop concept, and in your Hadoop, there is a concept of NoSQL, in which there is a concept of distributed application. Your files are distributed to a different nodes. Okay. So in your relational database, there is a no concept of your distributed concept, distributed application is there. But with the concept of Hadoop, there is a possibility of your distributed application. And in your RDBMS, there are different tables. And for that, we will use a different concept, that is join. Okay. Join concept are used in your relational database. Okay. And this concept is a complex concept to combine your different tables. Okay, it is complex to join your different tables and make a connectivity between these models in your article. NoSQL remove all this concept of tabular form from Hadoop. There is no concept of a table. Okay, all your data should be stored in the form of values, documents, as well as your graph. That is why SQL is made to a market. And next is your SQL. I'm talking about SQL and comparing with the NoSQL. SQL has a hard to scale able. Okay, hard to scalable in your SQL concept, because in your SQL there is a limit of scalability, and it is scalability according to horizontal as well as vertical. Okay, limit of scalability is there in your SQL, but in your NoSQL there is a scalability. Okay, and that scalability is according to a horizontal concept. Means we are adding a number of nodes with a master node. Okay, number of nodes can be added that will scale your system. Okay, that is why your SQL is hard to scalable. There is a limited value. Up to some such limit we can scalable in the form of vertical conditions and as well as up to your horizontal. But NoSQL, there is a scalability. We can scale our concept. Okay. And further in NoSQL or in your Hadoop, we have studied that this is your SQL is an expensive product. Okay, but we have NoSQL, it is less as compared to SQL. Okay, these are the advantages according to SQL and NoSQL. That is why the NoSQL concept is added in. And further, we will study the advantages and disadvantages. First of all, the characteristics of NoSQL. First is avoid the overhead of acid property. Okay, what is acid is? Acid is atomicity. It is used in your RDBMS concept, that is relational database management system, or in your SQL concept. Okay, there is a concept of acid property, and in your NoSQL, it avoids the overhead of acid property. There is a concept of acid property. Acid stand for A stand for atomicity, C stand for consistency, I stand for isolation, and D stand for durability. Okay, there is no such concept of acid in your node, but it is in your SQL concept. Avoid complexity of SQL concept. Acid is removed, their complexity is also removed. Avoid complexity of SQL queries. Third is avoid burden of upfront schema. Schema is your structure. Schema design. Okay. Schema design is your structure of your table. Okay. In your SQL, there is a different schema to draw your table. Okay. That is why NoSQL avoid the burden of upfront schema. Schema is all structure. Structure of your table. NoSQL avoid that. Fourth and last is avoid database administration concept. Okay. Avoid database administration presence. There is no need of any database administrator. Okay. In your NoSQL, but in your SQL, there should be a database administrator who will check all that tables, all information. If there is any duplicacy that have to be removed, okay, that all should be in your SQL concept. But NoSQL, that is not only SQL, remove all that concept of your SQL. Okay. These are avoided. Okay, these are avoided by NoSQL. But what are provided by NoSQL? Okay, that is first is easy and frequent Okay, first of all, we have studied that what is avoided by NoSQL. Now, what is provided by NoSQL is easy and frequent change of database. Okay, Hadoop and the concept of NoSQL can easily and frequently change. Okay, the Hadoop says that there is a frequent change of data and that data should be stored and processed frequently. Okay, that is why NoSQL also provide that it is easy and it is frequent changes are there in your data. Next is it provides fast development. Okay, because why fast development is there? Because the task is divided between the sub nodes or your slave nodes. Okay, if the tasks are divided between the different nodes, it can be processed, it can be tracked easily. Okay, that is why it is fast to develop. Third characteristics is large data volume can be handled. Example is your Google. Okay, with the concept of your NoSQL, we can handle a large amount of data. Okay, and recent current days, Google are producing number of data, and that data is stored, retrieved, and also analyzed by the Google system. And this system is using the concept of Hadoop. Okay, all the ecosystems are there in the Google environment. Last characteristics is your this is schema less. Okay, there is no structure of any type of data that we have studied in NoSQL. Schemaless means no structure is there. We do not need any type of structure or any type of relational concept in our NoSQL concept. Okay, it is schemaless. And what concepts are added? That are the types of your NoSQL, that is key value. Okay, this is schemaless. We do not need any type of structure. Then there is a document. Okay, there is a graph data model. There is a column data model. Okay, these are the types of NoSQL that provide us no schemaless concept. Okay, that provide us a schemaless concept. Okay, that's all about your NoSQL is, and further we will study in detail what is your Hadoop cluster is, and further what is NoSQL is. Yes, there is a question from Abhishek. Can we store relational data in the NoSQL data? Yes, you can. We can store relational data also in the form in your NoSQL database. It simply means not only SQL, means we can store our SQL concept also. Okay, but they have also provided us the different models to store our data. Okay, that model is your
we can store the data, because this is your huge volume of data, and that data is stored in the form of key values also, in the form of graph values also, in the form of column family also, and in the form of your documentation. Okay, they are provide us, that is NoSQL provide us these properties also to store data. Okay, but we can also store our data in the form of NoSQL. Okay, first of all, what is Hadoop cluster? I have explained that Hadoop cluster, in simple cluster, is a collection of computers. Okay, and a Hadoop cluster is also a collection of computers, and it consists of a network of nodes. Okay, network of nodes, and here we are talking about nodes is your computer. Okay, node. If I am talking about now nodes are your computer, and that nodes are connected in the form of master and slave. Okay, master is your main node who will collect all the data. Okay, that is all performed by a master node, and master node will distribute that data to their sub nodes or to their slaves. If I am talking about sub nodes, that is a subcomputer that is connected with the master node. Okay, and that task that is collected by a master node is distributed between the sub nodes, and it is in the form of replication also. Okay. Next is the architecture of your Hadoop cluster. Okay, Hadoop cluster are composed of network of master and worker nodes, and here your worker nodes are your slave nodes that execute the various job across the Hadoop distributed file system. Okay, that execute the various job. The job that is distributed by a master node to their worker node are executed in which form? In the form of distributed manner. Okay, and that is done by your Hadoop distributed file system. Okay, the master node typically utilize higher quality hardware. Okay, your master node have a higher quality hardware, means they have a higher processor. Okay, and also maximum storage capacity as compared to your slave nodes, because it will collect the large volume of data and also process that data. Okay, that is why the master node typically utilize higher quality hardware and include a name node, secondary node, and job tracker. Okay, in your master node, there is a name node concept, because all that task is divided between the subtasks. All that information should be kept in your master node, and master node have that information, because they will distribute that data to their slave nodes, and which slave node have which type of data, that all information should be stored in a master node. That is why it include a name node, secondary name node, is if the name node have their further sub nodes, that information should also be placed. If there is a replication of data, between which slave node that data is replicated, that information should also be kept. Okay, and there should be a job tracker, and job tracker is in your master tool, and who will track that job? Your yarn framework, yarn map reduce framework. Okay, this is the environment of your Hadoop, yarn, yet another resource negotiator that will track your job. Okay, next point, the worker consists of virtual machines running both data node and task tracker, and here worker nodes are your slave nodes. Okay, they consist of virtual machines, means their system have a virtual machine with the concept of Hadoop also. In their system, there is also a Hadoop installation is there. That is why they can process that data that is divided by a master. Okay, and they also run your data node as well as your task tracker. The data node is used to store your data, and task tracker is used to process the data that is distributed between the different nodes by the master. Okay, and they have a commodity hardware. Okay, your slave nodes have a commodity hardware, but your master node have a maximum high quality hardware. Then the final part of the system are the client nodes, which are responsible for loading the data and fetching the result. And there is your client node as well as your working node. And client node is responsible for your loading the data and the fetching data. And all these client and worker in your slave node. And this is the combination of your slave node. Client and worker is a combination, and actually it is in your slave node. Okay, and this is the architecture. There is a master node, and under that there is a worker node. Master node divides the task between worker node, and worker node further divide that task to a client node. Okay, client will process that, fetch the data, resultant will be provided to worker, and further to the master. They will work as a team member. Okay. Then what is the cluster size in Hadoop? Okay, now question is, what will be the size of the cluster? And I have told you that the cluster in your Hadoop can scalable, and it can be scalable in your horizontal construct. Okay, a Hadoop cluster is a set of metrics that define storage, compute capabilities to run Hadoop workload, namely your number of nodes, number of master node, number of H node, and number of worker nodes. If there are number of slaves, okay, means you are scaling your product. Your number of nodes are increasing, okay, because according to your data, if their data is increasing, we have to increase our slave nodes also, as well as master node also. Okay, if I am talking about in India, there is a Google master node also, and there's slave nodes also. In India, I am talking about India. But if I am talking about USA have their master node of Google as well as their slave nodes. Okay, there are number of masters, and the master have further there are slave nodes. That is why your cluster size can be scalable. Okay, and further the configuration of each node. Okay, configuration of each node. In a master, there is a maximum core of processors. Okay, processor core should be maximum, and as compared to master is slave, there is limited cores. Okay, your processor should be of limited size as compared to your master. That is the configuration. Okay, number of cores per node should be there, RAM should be there, disk volume, storage capacity should be. Okay, if we are increasing our nodes, then we have to provide different processor to them. RAM should be provided. Okay, different storage should be provided to each and every node. Then their advantage of Hadoop is, first is boost the processing speed. Okay, the first advantage is it will boost the processing speed because there are number of nodes. They have different processor, they have different RAMs, they have different storage capacity. Okay, Hadoop cluster are easily scalable and quickly add nodes to increase throughput and maintain processing speed. If the volume of data is increasing day by day, we can increase, or if we are saying that increase means we are scaling our system. Then use of low cost, high availability commodity hardware. Okay, in your node, in your slave nodes, we are using a commodity hardware that is of low cost. Okay, but we are using a expensive hardware in a master. Okay, that will use for low cost. Your slave nodes are used for a low cost concept. Okay. Hadoop cluster replicate a data set across the distributed file system, making them resilient to data loss and a cluster failure. If there is a failure, we have provided a feature that the data should be replicated. Okay, we can back up that data if there is any cluster failure or any node failure in there. Hadoop cluster make it possible to integrate and leverage data from multiple sources. Okay, we can integrate the data from different sources also. It is possible to deploy Hadoop using a single node installation for evaluation process. Okay, we can also deploy a Hadoop as a single node, and that is we are performing a practical. Yesterday, we are making a system as a single node. Okay, there is a problem because we have installed again that installation of HDFS. That is why it created a problem yesterday. Okay. But if you can perform that practical, you can easily install your HDFS and yarn if you will follow that steps. And I am also hope that you will watch that video that I have posted yesterday in Google Classroom. Watch that video and further continue your installation of Hadoop on your system. Okay, then after we will go for a next installation, that is big installation. Okay. That's all for your Hadoop cluster is. These are the advantages. Okay, then what is Hadoop cluster that I have explained. Now we will go for our next concept, that is NoSQL. Okay, before that, the introduction of your NoSQL, before that, we have to know about what is database, what is DBMS, what is RDBMS. Okay, and these are the topic that we will cover in our NoSQL concept. That is a brief history of database and NoSQL, why we are using NoSQL, what is NoSQL, and when to use NoSQL. Okay, then further characteristics of NoSQL that I have explained. Okay. First of all, what is database? Database is a collection of organized data, or you can say that organized collection of data. Okay, a proper structured data is collected in your database with or collection of organized data is your database. DBMS, database management system. It is a software, okay, a software package with the computer programs that control the creation of your tables, maintenance of your table, and the use of database. Creation of table means we are creating a table and fill that table with the different records, and further that we will maintain that record. Okay, then we will use that record. That is all done by a simple software that name is DBMS that we will perform in our DBMS subject. Okay. Then a database are created to create large quantities of information by putting this, that is, we are creating a data, storing the data, retrieving that data, and managing that data. And for that, we should know the knowledge. We should have a knowledge about database and DBMS. Then we will go for our concept that is NoSQL. Okay, in your database as well as in your relational database, there is a language that is used, that is structured query language, SQL. Okay, that is used to store your data, to create your tables, and in tables we will store that data. Okay, we should have a knowledge about that SQL concept. Okay. Further, a brief history is there. from 97 to till now, your volume of data is increasing. Okay. And according to that, the different models are created. Okay. According to that, different models are created. In 1970s, Pods, that is the developer name, Pods made a relational model. Okay, relational model is created to store the data. Then after 1970, in 1980, IBM created a model that is System R. Name of that model is System R. Then after that, in between 1980 or 1990, there is a Oracle organization that made a different software to store the data, or different models are created. Okay, and according to that, your data is increasing day by day. If there is in 1970, if data is in the form of MBs, but in 1990s the data is converted to a TBs, terabyte. Okay, and according to that, the model is also changing day by day. Okay, and in your between 2000 to 2010, the model that is insert, that is NoSQL term, is used, and it is used in your Hadoop concept. Okay, NoSQL. But in your 2000 to 2005, we are using a SQL concept at that time. But in your 2009 and after that, now we are using a concept of a NoSQL. Okay, not only SQL. Because data is increasing day by day, so we have to change according to that. Then further, what is relational database? Relational means we are storing the data in the form of table. Okay, we are creating a database and we are having a different tables. Then relate that tables with each other. That is the relational means. Okay, further, relational database have a benefits. First benefit is designed for all purpose. Your relational database is used for all purpose to store the data. And in your relational database, there is a ACID property concept is used. And ACID stand for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Third benefit is strong consistency, concurrency, and recovery. Okay, in that, in your 2000 to 2005, this concept is used, that is SQL, or your relational database concept. And these properties are used in your relational database. Then mathematical background can also be used in your relational database. And also a structured query language is also added in your relational database. A structured query language is used to store, retrieve, delete, update your data in your table. Then further, SQL database have their different fields. Okay, there are SQLite, Oracle, PostgreSQL, okay, TurboDB, SQL Server is there, MySQL is there, Microsoft SQL Azure is there. These are the product of a SQL database. These are the different products. Okay, and have the functionality as same as of your SQL. That is structured query language. And these are the database that are used that time. But now a time, the concept that is added is NoSQL. What is NoSQL is? NoSQL database is also known as not only SQL, are non-tabular database. In this, no table is created. We will not store any type of data in the form of tables. Okay, that is why non-tabular database and store data differently than your relational database or your relational tables. NoSQL database come in a variety of types based on their data models. Okay, there are different type of data models in your NoSQL, and that types are: first is document data model, key value data model, wide column, or you can say that column family data model, graph data model. Okay, and they provide flexible schemas. Okay, they provide flexible schemas and scale easily with a large amount of data, because data is increasing day by day, and these model can be scalable. But a relational model is scalable up to some limit only. Okay, that is why your new concepts are added, and that is your new SQL. And further, in your new SQL, there are different data models. Okay, next is why new SQL. Okay, first of all, in your SQL, there is a relational database were not built for distributed application. Okay, your SQL have a relational database concept, and they will not provide us a distributed application concept. This is, we are talking about SQL concept. Okay, in an SQL, relational database were not built for distributed application. But nowadays, NoSQL is used for your distributed application. Okay, previous, the single server is used. Okay, single server is used to storing your data, but nowadays your data is distributed between different nodes. Okay, that is why the concept NoSQL is, they are distributed their application between a different nodes. That is clusters. Okay. Next is why NoSQL is added, because why NoSQL is added, because join are expensive. In your previous SQL, we are using join concepts, but in your NoSQL, your joins. Okay, join is a functionality to join your different tables. Joins are expensive. That is why NoSQL concept is added. Hard to scalable. Okay, who is hard to scalable? Your SQL concept is hard to scalable. Okay, for that NoSQL is added. Impedance mismatch occur. Okay, there is a mismatch in your SQL concept. That limitation is removed by your NoSQL. There is no impedance of your mismatch in NoSQL concept. Okay. Further, SQL is expensive according to product cost, hardware cost, and maintenance cost. But your NoSQL is cheaper because task is divided between accumulated hardware. Okay, between a accumulated hardware. That is why it is not expensive. Okay. Then this is for your SQL. Okay, and this concept is for your NoSQL. Like remaining is same. All your previous slide is why NoSQL is, what are the limitation in your SQL, and what are the disadvantages in your SQL. These are the disadvantages according to your SQL. But opposed to this, all are the advantages of your NoSQL. Okay, opposite to all of these points, all are the advantages of NoSQL. Further, why NoSQL now? Okay, driving trends are there. Your volume are increasing. Data is increasing day by day. For that, the concept NoSQL is added. Big data concept is added. For that, NoSQL concept are using. Connectivity is increasing. Network is increasing day by day. Okay, you are from IPv4 to now we are using IPv6. Okay, that is internet protocol concept, because there is a network are increasing day by day. So for that we are using NoSQL concept also. Peer-to-peer knowledge. Okay, each and every user are connected with each other, or you can say that peer-to-peer or point-to-point. Okay, each and every user have a smartphone. They have an internet connection. Okay, they are interacting with each other, and for that a NoSQL is added. Concurrency, to maintain concurrency, diversity. Okay, for all that we are using a NoSQL. Then According to your RDBMF performance, they are degrading day by day. In our previous year in 1990s, if we are creating a salary list or a web applications, for that time we are using the RDBMS concept. But they are degrading, performance are degrading day by day because of your social networking is added, your location based services, GPS concept is added, and they are providing a maximum of data. Okay, that is why your RDBMS performance is degraded, and according to that, a new concept is added, and that concept is your NoSQL concept, and that is used in your Hadoop. Okay. Next, what is NoSQL is? NoSQL system are also referred to as a not only SQL, not SQL. Though a better term would be your no REL, means no relation. No relationship is there. Means we are not creating any type of data or table. Sorry, table. That is why it is also called no REL, no relation, not SQL, not only SQL. Okay. That is your NoSQL is. Further, SQL is used to emphasize that they do in fact allow SQL like query language to be used. Okay. And the word we are using not only SQL, the question that is asked by a student. Now this line will clear that we are talking about not only SQL. That is, there is a SQL concept also, that is to emphasize that they do in fact allow SQL queries also. Okay, we will use SQL queries also in your not SQL concept or no SQL concept. Okay. Then further characteristics of your NoSQL database is, first, NoSQL avoids overhead. Okay, NoSQL avoids overhead of asset property that are used in your SQL concept. Complexity of SQL queries are avoided by your NoSQL. Burden of upfront schema design. Okay, to create a schema design or to create a structure of your table, that is also avoided in with the concept of NoSQL. Database administrator presence is also removed. Okay, because NoSQL concept is added. Transactions. Okay, transactions that are done in your tables, or while we are using a transactions, or we are using an application that is online banking, that transaction concept is also used in your SQL. That also avoided in the concept of NoSQL concept. Okay. Then what is provided by NoSQL? Easy and frequent change to database management. Okay, we can easily change our database. We can scale our database. Fast development are there. Large data volume can be stored, can be analyzed. A resultant optimal solution can be produced from that. That is all done by a NoSQL concept. Schemaless. Okay, it is schemaless. Okay. And further, these are the different component of your NoSQL. Redis, HBase, these are the database that are used in your NoSQL concept. Okay, or that will provide the concept of your NoSQL. Redis is there, HBase is there, Cassandra is there, Rack is there, Tokyo Cabinet is there. These all use the concept of your NoSQL. Okay. And next is when and when not to use your NoSQL. When and why to use? When traditional RDBMS model is too restrictive, then we have to use our NoSQL concept. When asset property support is not reliable, then we will go for a NoSQL concept. Object to relational impedance, if there is a relational impedance concept is there, then we will go for a NoSQL concept. Logging data from distributed source, if the data is logging, okay, log of data is there, means there is a traffic is more and your data is getting logged, then we will go for a which concept? NoSQL concept. Okay, temporary data storage concept is there, then we will go for NoSQL concept. Okay, these are all the concepts when we will use our NoSQL. And when not to be used, when there is a financial data. Okay, when there is a financial data, transaction, online banking concept is there, then there is a limitation of NoSQL. Then we will not use the concept of NoSQL. Data requiring strict asset compliance. If there is a strict asset properties are being used, then we will not use NoSQL. Okay, then only use your SQL concept. Business critical data is, if there is any type of critical data, then we will not use NoSQL. Then we will go for only SQL concept. Okay, for financial data, for asset properties, for business critical data, we will use only SQL concept. We will not use NoSQL concept. Okay. Further, NoSQL is getting more and more popular, and these are the organizations that are creating a data. Okay, Google is creating a data. In a 60 lakh of data is produced by a Google. Then eBay, LinkedIn, Yahoo, Netflix, Amazon, Facebook, these are the organizations that they are producing a huge amount of data. And for that, the Hadoop concept is added, and in a Hadoop, the NoSQL concept is added to store each and every data in different form. Okay, and what are the different forms are? That are the types of NoSQL data models. What are they? First is key value data model. Second is document data model. Third is column family data model. And last is graph. Okay, and further, this is the image shown in which your document model have these database. Okay, to storing your data in the form of document, these are the softwares that we will use. For document, there is a MongoDB, RavenDB, CoachDB, and these software are used for your, or you can say that these tools are used for your document data models. To store your data in the form of document, we will go for these tools. Okay, MongoDB, RavenDB, CoachDB. And if we will store our data in the form of column family, then we will go for these tools, Cassandra, Apache, HBase. If we will go for a key value data model, then we will go for a RAC, Redis, and these are the softwares. We use which concept? Key value concept. Okay. Then if we will create a data model in the form of graph, then we will go for a Neo4j tool. Okay. If we will store our data in the form of graph, then we will use Neo4 software. If we will store our data in the form of document, we will go for these tools. Okay, that are the tools that are described separately. First, key value data model, how they will store your data. Okay, that we will study. First type is key value data model. It is the simplest NoSQL databases. Okay, these models are used to store the data in the different forms. Okay, first we are talking about key value, and this is the simplest NoSQL database. Okay, first is this is simplest. The main idea is the use of hash table. Okay, in your key value, we are using the concept of a hash table. Then access data by strings called keys. Okay, here we have store our data. Okay, like in your phone directory, there is a name. Okay, name of the person and their contact number. Okay. Here the names are the key and the phone numbers are the values. Okay. And in this form, we can store our data. If we have a data, huge data, we have a name of the persons and their phone number, we will go for which model? We will go for a key value model. Okay. We will store that data in this form. Data has no required format. Data may have any format. Okay. In this, we will not need any type of format. Simply, we will place the key, and that key have a string values. And which type of value? Their names. Okay. Here, the roll number can also be there. Okay. If we are talking about a student point of view, student name is a key or their roll number is a key, and further their age, their semester, that is the value. Okay. We can store in this layer. And data model, your data model have a key and value pair. Means they have a pair, and in pair they have a key and a value. Okay, we can store our value in this form also. Key have a customer name, okay, and value have a phone. This is the structure to store your data. Basic operation that we will perform in your key value data model is we will perform insertion operation, we will perform fetch operation, update operation, and delete. Okay, insert your key, that is name, and value, that is phone number. And we can fetch with the help of only key, that is with the name. We can update with the name also. We can delete with the name also. These are the properties that are provided by your simple model, that is your key value. Okay. In this manner, we can also store our data. Okay, with the concept of your NoSQL. Next is your column family data model. This is your second model. The column is the lowest and smallest instance of the column. Means we are storing our data in the form of your column family, in the form of columns. Okay. It is the tuple that contain a name, a value, and a timestamp. Means we have a column name, and in that column name, we have a different keys and values. Okay. In the same way, there is a column name, and further at that column name, we have a different keys and values. We can also store our data in this manner also using your column family data model concept. Column based NoSQL database are widely used to manage your data warehouse, business intelligence, your CRM models, library card catalogs. If we are using the concept of data ware business intelligence, then we will go for which model? That is a column family model. If we are creating any type of library catalog, then we will go for a column family data model. And in this, we will store our data in the form of a column manner. Means we will give a name to a column, and in that we will store our data, and that data is stored in the form of key and value. Okay, key or value have a column name. That is why it is called a column family. Means a different columns are created, and in that columns the different key values are placed, keys and values are placed. Okay, and further the software that are used for a column data models, that is HBase, Cassandra, Hypertable. These are the database that are used to store the data in the form of your column family concept. Okay, these are the database that are used to store your data. Then further, In your column family data model, we are taken some statics from a Facebook search. Okay, Cassandra is a database. According to that, there is a difference between your read and write concept. If we are talking about MySQL, okay, that is your traditional method to store your data. In your MySQL, if the data is greater than 50 GB, for that we will take the time to write that data, that is to 30 milliseconds. If we are writing that data in a table using a MySQL concept, we will take a 30 millisecond to store that, to store the data. And for reading the data, we will take a 350 millisecond. But according to the latest technology, that is the NoSQL concept, and the model that is used and database that is used is Cassandra. According to that, if the data is greater than 50 GB, and to write the data, we will take only 0.12 millisecond. And to read that data, we will take only 50 millisecond of time. Okay, there is huge difference between to write and read data according to MySQL, and according to Cassandra, there is a huge time consuming is there. Okay, sorry, in your MySQL there is a maximum time consuming, but in your Cassandra database it will reduce the time. Okay, in a limited time your data can be read and as well as it can be write in a millisecond, 0.millisecond. Okay, but in your MySQL it will take 300 milliseconds. Okay, that is the statistics is taken. What is the difference between these products are? Then next is your graph data model. A graph type database stores entities as well as their relational amongst those entities. Okay, in your graph there is a relation between your entities. Okay, like in this diagram, there is a person, there is a city and a restaurant, and they have a relation between them. Person is a single node, city is another node, and restaurant is another node, and they are connected with a edges. Okay, and they each node have a relation between different nodes. We can represent our data in a graph form also. Okay, and this is the another technique to store your data in the form of graph data model, and the model that is used is graph data model. Okay, we will create a graph, and here is also a graph of number of persons. They are connected with each other. Okay, they are connected with each other according to some other some relations. Okay, there's some be father son relation or father friend relation. Okay, in the same manner we will store the data in different manner, and it is also as your graph data concept. The entity is stored as a node with a relationship as H. Okay, the entity is stored as a node and a relationship as an H. Okay, this relationship is your H will represent your relationship. The person have some address in some city. Okay, okay, they will go for a lunch or a breakfast to a any restaurant. Okay, in this manner we will create a relationship in the form of graph. Okay, then what are the softwares or your database that are used to create your graph? That is your Neo4j is the software, or you can say the database that is used to draw the graph. Then Infinite Graph, OrientDB, FlogDB are the popular graph-based databases. Okay, these are the products that are used to create your graph. Then last is your document based data model. Okay, in this your data is stored in the form of documents. Okay, document oriented NoSQL DB store and retrieve data as a key value pair, but the value part is stored as a document. Okay, as a document, we will store our data in the form of document, and the document is stored in which form? In a JSON form. Okay, JSON, or in your XML format. Data is stored in which format? JSON format, as well as or in your XML format, not in the form of docs or in the PDF format. It is in the form of JSON and XML. But data is stored in the form of your document format. The value is understood by the database and can be required. Okay, sorry, it can be queried. It can be queried from your database. Okay, here is a diagram. This diagram have a different column, and in each column there are data. But this is your actual column family represent. Column family data model is represented in this. But in your database data model, your data is stored in your document form. This is your document one. In that there are further data are there. Okay, further document two have their data, and this is in your which format? JSON as well as your XML. Okay, these are the different models of your NoSQL. We can store these data in different models, and their different models have a different databases also. Okay. Further, what is schema-less data model is? Okay, schema-less is we do not need any type of structure. Any type of structure, there is no need of any type of structure. But in your SQL or in your relational database, we cannot add a record which does not fit the schema. Okay. We are talking about SQL now. Relational database concept is there. They are talking about in relational database, we cannot add any record without any schema. Means we have to need a schema in a relational database. But in your NoSQL, there is no schema is needed. That is why it is called your NoSQL have a concept of schema less. Okay, there is schema less concept in your NoSQL. That's all is written in these lines. You need to add null to unused item in your SQL or in your relational database. If there is no such value is there in your column or in your row, then we have to write null in your relational database. But according to your NoSQL, if there is no field, we will not fill any type of value. We will not write any null string there. Okay, this will reduce our space. Okay, because if we fill null, it will occupy some space. Okay, and NoSQL reduce that concept. There is no null is used if there is no value is in your field. Okay, we will not write any null here. Further, in your NoSQL database, there is no schema to consider. There is no unused cell is there. There is no data type is used. Okay, then most consideration are done in your application layers. We gather all items in an aggregate manner. Okay, this is your relational model is there are different models and they are connected with each other with a different cardinality, one to many, many to one. But in your document models or your NoSQL, there is no such aggregation is there. Okay, no such aggregation concept is there. No schemas are used. That is all about your NoSQL. Okay, further these are the difference that I have explained in previous slides. These are the difference. Okay. Now, if you have any question, you can raise your hand